I like to say that this is the perfect gospel for a fundraiser. I happen to be a fundraiser, so it's kind of music to my ears to hear this gospel. There was a simple phrase, an antiphon, that my late father used to repeat over and over again to his children. He would say it over and over again that we all could sort of sing it. He would say that ownership, possession and ownership, is only an illusion. All of us, each and every one of us, don't own. We are simply renting. My father's saying had a great deal of irony because he spent much of his time trying to raise money for his family and support them. Ironically, he was a lawyer and an estate planner. Nevertheless, the gospel, and Koheleth, who speaks in Ecclesiastes in the first reading, begs us to ponder the nature of our possessions, what we own. Do we really own anything? Or is our ownership simply a vanity of vanities? In fact, Luke wants us to consider the symbolic function of our possessions, of all possessions in existence. It is Luke who claims that it is out of fear that the acquisitive instinct can grow monstrous. We possess because we are afraid. Life seems so frail and so contingent that our many possessions seem to require and secure that those possessions can keep us from what is frail in our own life and vulnerable. Luke wants to impress us by the parable of this possessive farmer. Only the removal of fear by the persuasion of life itself that is given by God can generate the spiritual freedom for all of us to dispossess ourselves with the temptation to pile up things, property, belongings, goods, and wealth. Luke wants to convince us that life cannot be secured by possessions, that existence is a gift outside of human control. The parable of the rich fool, this farmer, displays the irony of a man who thought he had secured his life. He had his retirement all figured out for many years to come. When life ended abruptly, so did his possessions. Vanity of vanities. Of course, I've seen many rich people stockpile possessions. But I have seen also men and women who take vows of poverty become consumed by their possessions too. I love the story of the Carmelite nun who had nothing. And she says to her confessor, "See this wooden spoon with its splinters that have caught in my mouth for 30 years? I've eaten it all these years." And the confessor says, "Break it." We can hold on to our possessions so that we can control the landscape of our lives. Our possessions help us to mediate that control. But no, We are meant as human beings to be spiritually free. We really are meant to be spiritually free, dispossessed of our fear to control the landscape of our lives, to dispel the vanity of vanities and see beyond the illusion of our possessions. So I beg of you today, I beg of it from myself, to let God be God and not to enter into the delusion of our own divinity. Let God be God. Let us not delude ourselves into thinking that we are God, that we have the ultimate mastery and control over our lives. Because, as the parable tells us, we simply do not.